And honestly, when I first woke up, I thought that she wasn't alive. I thought a year later it would be easier to talk about, but it's not. What's up YouTube, it's your girl Abby Turtle and I'm back with another video. Today's video is long overdue. I'm gonna talk about the birth of my daughter. The birth of my daughter was very traumatic. She's about to be a year old in a couple of weeks. I just kind of wanted to share this story. It was really hard for me to talk about in the beginning because it was a very traumatizing experience and I went through a lot during pregnancy and after pregnancy. But I'm finally in a place where I feel like I can talk about what happened, kind of like be a support to other moms who have gone through the same thing. I was due to have her June the 13th, 2019. She was a day late. I really wanted her to come out, so I was like doing all types of things, like bouncing on the bouncy ball, drinking hot sauce, like everything that the internet tells you induces labor. I was so over being pregnant and I was so ready to have my baby. I was just doing anything. Nothing happened, like my water didn't break, nothing, so I was just kind of irritated. I went to sleep that night. It was a Thursday and I had work in the morning. So then around like 2 o'clock in the morning, my water broke in bed. I got up and I was just kind of like confused. I thought I peed myself. We rushed to the hospital. It was about like 3, 4 in the morning. Originally, I wanted to have a water birth, but I know that's not always possible. If I couldn't have a water birth, my next thing was gonna be that I wanted to do everything completely natural. I didn't wanna have any medicine. I didn't wanna have a C-section. I just wanted birth to take its course. I remember those contractions hurt so bad. And the doctors kept asking me, they're like, do you want medicine? We can give you the epidural, we can give you pain meds. And I just kept telling them no. I was like, no, I don't want medicine. I want to do this naturally. I just kept like denying any kind of meds because I just wanted it to be as natural as possible. And this was really hard for me because I have a low pain tolerance. Everything hurts me. The fact that I was trying to do this natural was a little bit out of the ordinary for me because I do not do well with pain. I just really wanted this to be like a natural experience. But it was everything but a natural experience. I was like irritated, like so ready to push. I was in labor from 4 a.m. all the way to 3 p.m. the next day. Finally got to the point where I was in so much pain that my nurse was like, are you sure you don't want the epidural? And I'm like, I'm sure, but I was telling her that I'm sure, but I was crying and I was in so much pain. And she's like, if you get it, you can take a nap, like it'll numb the pain. You'll be able to sleep for a little bit. It doesn't look like you're gonna be pushing anytime soon. So you're just gonna be sitting here with your contractions for hours. And at that point, I was just like in so much pain and so tired. I was like, you know what? I'll get the epidural. Not really what I wanted, but I decided to get it anyway. The epidural, like I never really did my research on it. I know it was a shot in your spine. I don't like needles. I would rather give birth to 1,000 babies than have a needle put in me. I do not like needles. The reason I didn't look up the epidural was because I was so sure that I wasn't gonna have it. So I'm freaking out because I'm like, I'm gonna get a needle in my spine and I don't know if I can do this. When you get this in your spine, you have to be completely still. Now imagine not being able to move while you're having contractions. So you have to sit like on the edge of the bed. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, my nurse on one side, my mom on the other side. They're both holding my hands and they're like talking me through it, like telling me to breathe, to relax, to just calm down, have to be very still. And like the whole time I'm just thinking about the needle. I'm thinking about how big it is. I'm thinking about how it's gonna feel when it goes in my skin. I'm just like freaking out. And I'm having contractions. I am in so much pain and I'm not allowed to move. My nurse, she was amazing. Like she's talking to me and she's trying to get my mind off of it and she's telling me like, just breathe through it. I wasn't aware how serious it is to get this shot. When it first goes in, it's like really sharp pain. It goes in slowly, so it makes it even worse. I'm pretty sure like you can get paralyzed or something can go wrong if you move while getting that thing in you. So I'm like trying my best to stay still and like I feel like that lasted for like hours. Like he was back there putting that needle in for so long. At that point, all I wanted to do was sleep. Like I've been awake for mad long having these contractions and I was just ready to go to sleep. So once like the drugs started to kick in, I started to feel really good. And then eventually I passed out. And by the time I got up, I want to say it was like 1 or 2 p.m. Eventually I was 10 centimeters dilated. And when you're 10 centimeters, that's when you're able to push. So they're like, okay, we're gonna get you ready to push. And I was so excited because I'm like, yes, finally my baby's gonna be here. They got me ready to push. They asked me if I wanted to see, like with the mirror, and I'm like, sure, I'll see. But then as soon as they put the mirror in there and I saw everything that was going on down there, I was like, I don't want the mirror anymore. I was just like, I'd rather just see when my daughter comes out. I don't want to see everything else that's going on down there. I started pushing. There were times when I push and everyone would get really excited because they could see the baby's head and they're like, oh, she's coming, she's coming. And then there would be times when I would feel like so exhausted, it would be hard to push. And like when you push, you have to push when you're having a contraction. You get your contractions and they hurt like hell. And when you get the contractions, you also have to push. Not after, not before, during your contraction. It's just really the worst. The epidural did make it feel a lot better because a lot of the times when I was pushing, I couldn't even really feel it. So like half the time I didn't know, like, am I pushing? Am I pushing hard enough? Like I didn't really know because I couldn't really feel it. I pushed and her head would come out and then it would go back in. She was like sort of coming out enough that we could see her, but then not enough that they could pull her out. I pushed for 3 hours and it was tough. At some point I got really tired that I just wanted to give up. Everyone's telling me like, don't give up, she's right there, you can push her out, you can do it. And I'm trying, I'm really trying. But imagine doing that for 3 hours straight and we weren't getting anywhere. At some point I got so overwhelmed because I was pushing for all this time, losing all my energy, and nothing was happening. At some point I got so overwhelmed, I started throwing up. I just started to feel really sick and I just started throwing up everywhere. And when I started to like throw up, they take off that half of the bed when you're pushing. That half of the bed was already off, and when I like leaned to throw up, I nearly fell out of the hospital bed. If it wasn't for my nurse and my mom who caught me, I would have been pregnant and on the floor. When they get you ready to push, you're up really high, and like I said, that half of the bed is off, so you have like no support like where your legs are. I had already had the epidural, so most of me is like numb, and then I still got this big old baby inside of me. So luckily I had 2 people and they caught me before I fell out of the bed. It was really bad. I think it was because I was like really overwhelmed with everything going on, and the fact that I was trying so hard to get my daughter out and it just wasn't happening. And it was frustrating me more because everyone's saying like, we see her head, and she wasn't coming out. After 3 hours, they told me that I could give up pushing and that I could get a C-section. It was kind of devastating because I didn't want a C-section. I didn't want a C-section. I wanted to have my baby naturally, and the fact that I had like everything planned out. Last thing that I wanted was to have a C-section. I was really upset about that. I pushed for 3 hours and I did my best. I mean, at the time it didn't feel like I did my best. I felt like a failure. But I pushed for so long and nothing happened. At this point I was really upset. And then to top it all off, the epidural started to wear off. It wore off to the point where my right half, I could feel contractions. But then on the other half of my body, I couldn't feel anything. At this point, I'm half numb, just like distraught. I'm half numb and I'm half not. And I'm waiting for the doctors. They're getting ready to do the C-section, and like I want more pain meds because I can't take it. Like me being like half numb, half not, I was just like, I'm done. Like I don't, like, just give me the medicine to numb me completely. Let's get this C-section going. Like this was the point where I was getting frustrated. I was irritated because I felt like everybody was taking long. Nurses said that they were gonna go and get the doctor to give me the medicine, and he took forever. Finally came to give me the pain meds, and I'm sitting there and waiting for them to finally start taking its course. I'm not feeling any different. Like, I still feel numb on one side and then able to feel on the other side. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm so confused. So finally they get ready to take me to have my C-section. Now, this part gets a little blurry because I pass out into the room to get the C-section, and they said I could only have one person. Obviously, my mom came with me. She tells everybody, like, they can go home. The C-section will be quick. By the time they come back, the baby will be here. There was really no point in everybody staying in the hospital when only one person could be there for when I was delivering. I can tell you some things from what she told me, but a lot of it I don't remember because, like I said, I was unconscious. So from what I do remember is going into the OR, the operating room. Everyone's like shuffling around doing their thing. I had got my meds that were supposed to numb me, and I thought I was numb. But then as I was laying there, when they started to cut into me, I could feel it. And it hurt so bad. So I'm like screaming, literally screaming. I'm like, it hurts, it hurts. Like, I'm screaming, like, stop, it hurts. And then I feel everybody in the room kind of get quiet, and they stop. Like, I don't feel like I'm being cut into anymore. And they stop, and I'm just sitting there crying because it hurts so bad. And I'm just like, why aren't the meds working? And the anesthesiologist was just giving me more and more medicine, and I'm like, I can still feel everything. They didn't cut into me again that I could feel it again. I think eventually I just passed out, but my mom told me that when she was in the delivery room, they were cutting me open. She said eventually, like, I stopped screaming. She said, we're trying to take the baby out. For some reason, they couldn't get her out, even with having to cut me open. They did the normal C-section cut, and then they did a double cut. They did the normal cut, and then they did another cut on the inside. You can't see from the outside. It's not supposed to happen for a normal C-section, but they had to do it in order to get the baby out. So what ended up happening is they had to take her out by her legs. Sorry. I thought a year later it would be easier to talk about, but it's not. Now, mind you, I was unconscious, so I didn't get to see my baby when she first came out. But my mom saw her, and she said when they first took her out, you know, she was waiting for that moment when the baby cries and it takes its first breath. She said the baby didn't cry. She was trying to figure out what was going on, and she said the doctors just started like scrambling around like crazy, and she's asking them, like, what's going on? What's going on? Why isn't the baby crying? What's happening? And then a couple minutes after everything calmed down, she realized that the baby wasn't breathing. And when she came out, her head was extremely swollen. And she had bruises. But eventually they got the baby to start breathing. They cleaned her up and took her up to the nursery, and I was still unconscious. And I didn't wake up until 10 p.m. So my daughter was on this earth for 3 hours, and everyone else got to meet her and I didn't. So that was upsetting. When I finally got to meet her, I was just waking up from being extremely drugged. I'm just like asking for her, like, where's my baby? And honestly, when I first woke up, I thought that she wasn't alive. So I was scared. They assured me that she was fine, she was healthy. She was crying when they first brought her in, and then as soon as they laid her on my chest, she got silent. At that moment, I was really, really happy. Even though it didn't go as planned, it was all worth it in the end because she was okay. She just had all these bruises everywhere. And it was really hard because I'm like, she went through so much, but she's beautiful. So it was very difficult in the beginning, but I had my mom and I had my friends. So I was okay. I suffered with depression while I was pregnant and then severely after I was pregnant because I went through a lot. I had to learn that it's normal. I've come to understand postpartum depression and how it does change a person, and everything that I've been through before, during, and after pregnancy. It's a lot. I was blessed with a beautiful girl I love so much. Thinking back to how she looked when she was first born to how she looks now, it's just a miracle. The doctor said that we both could have died. She honestly didn't know how she was gonna save us, but she figured it out, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to the doctors and nurses, everybody who was involved in saving mine and my daughter's life. I'm thankful. And my daughter is about to be 1 year old and she is perfect. But I just wanted to share my story with everyone about the traumatic birth that I had. Not to scare anyone, but just because mainly I did need to talk about it. I needed to come to terms with what happened and understand that my healing process is gonna take a while. You know, I wanted to just bounce back like I see people do all the time, and I couldn't. And I'm struggling with it, and I have struggled with it. Everything that I've experienced, it's been a lot. I hope you guys like this video, and if I missed something or didn't cover something enough and you want to know, feel free to comment. Share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and more videos will be coming real